This is your daily market review for Monday, July 15th, 2024. Let's go. Hey everyone, this is my channel to help investors and traders develop a probability-based mindset to succeed. Also try and keep friends informed of what's going on in the markets and the economy, and also a little real estate content as well. This is Dan Max at eXp Realty, aka the Trading Agent. This is your daily market review for Monday, July 15th, 2024. Hopefully you're having a great day. Happy birthday to a good friend of mine, turning 39 today. Shout out to everybody who's, involved in the Discord room. Great post. Appreciate all the love, support, and generous donations. You guys are great. Now, we know going into the rest of the week, it's options expiration. Earnings is just starting. We've got, again, whether you like Trump or not, his polling is only going up from everything that's happened. We got to talk about everything potentially that is, will be, and can be. So if you're new to the channel, check out the Discord room, a link in the description below. If you have any questions about this video, leave a comment below. I appreciate all the likes, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that you get alerts. So we know we got earnings really starting up. We had Goldman and BlackRock this morning. You had the New York Fed, which is another miss. Got some banks, and you got a few Dow names coming up in its options expiration. So we call TopX OpEx question mark, or are we about to break out and go nuts because it looks like Trump is a lock now. Now again, the biggest question that I have for that is when the probabilities get this high that he's going to win, you can only disappoint. So that's where we got to really look at the evidence, go deeper, and again, do what you need to do. Define your risk, be thoughtful, be smart, know that it's a probability-based game. There's no guarantees. All right, so we know, follow on Twitter. Also posting a ton of trades, ideas out there. Check, and again, if you want to chat, use the Calendly link, Zoom, hit me up. Let's do this. Also, check out the website, tradingagent.com. So we know going into the July meeting, there's no rate cut expected. We know that going into September, it's basically, it's now moving to the odds of a 50% cut are picking up. That says a lot, folks. Bitcoin, we talked about holding the range. Little bear trap. Now, again, I was a little disappointed that we didn't get, we kind of chopped a little. It looked very similar to this. But once you got over that 59, 60,000, there you go. And again, things for Trump seem to be benefiting Bitcoin because he's talking highly of it. So again, at this point, take it for what it's worth. Seems like Trump, crypto going well together. Again, this is where you have to identify the trades because it looks like as of right now that Biden has zero shot. And again, whether you like to hear that or not, that just seems like it's the truth. Oil, chopping around. We've talked about it. Again, I like oil long-term at steeper discounts. Natural gas, as we've talked about, head and shoulders top. Talked about the bottom here. Let it come on down. Again, we like the KOLD. Higher it goes, the better I like it. That's all I can say because I think that's the easiest short at some point because natural gas, I think we'll be natural gas exporters. There's a floor at some point. And I think if anything, prices will go up in time because, again, you print all this money. You can't just keep things at $1. The dollar store, no more. It won't be the $1.50 natural gas. It's going to be more expensive. Dollar, speaking of holding the 200-day, not surprised. Again, it's the floatiest turret in the toilet of currencies. TLT, interesting action today. Again, on the reaction, confusing. That's all I can say. You got to get over 94 and got to hold the trend. It's, again, one of those things we'd love to see it pick up, but it's just not. VIX, this has been kind of tight to the bottom. Little gap up. Remember, gaps can start and lead higher, but however, if you look at the 10-minute, they sold the VIX at the close. Again, I don't like to make a prediction on the VIX early in the week. We talked about up part of the week, down part of the week. VIX clearly waking up. SPY talked about it this morning. Is this a bull trap? Right? You go look at the intraday stuff. You couldn't hold over 563. Indecision day. Thanks, market. Can we make it simpler? No. QQQ, Doji, again, we've talked about leaders starting to lag, and this is where I need to focus for a minute. Think about this. The Qs have been leading up. Trash is starting to float last. You got to be careful. And again, we like tech shorts. I love it, actually. I think it's the juiciest sector out there. IWM, again, the trash floating last. Didn't do anything today. Again, still watching it. Now, again, could it catch up? This is what's so hard about the Monday of OPEX. If you've been in the Discord room for a long time, the Monday of OPEX is probably the worst day to really enter into a swing trade. Now, again, if you want a day trade, you go right ahead. But, the Monday of, there's going to be some volatility. They can stretch this out. They know they can crush the VIX. So, again, as much as I'm itching to short the IWM, did not do it. Diaz, we talked about, been holding, kind of in a range, broke out. But again, look at the volume and then look at the candle wicks. Ugh, feels suspect. But again, the market can do what it's going to do. GLD, right? Talked about it breaking out or chopping out. Again, the volume doesn't really get it there. Fed's pivot. Again, I don't like now that silver starting to lag gold. Like, I want to see silver in the 29.30 range. GDX, again, we talked about the miners leading, breaking out, but then giving it back. A little suspect. Again, we need more information. Not really going to say one thing or another other than that if you are long this stuff, raise your stops, define your risk, be careful, ten cuidado. AEM, this one's been holding up really well, not surprisingly, but be careful. It looks like you have some bull traps. We talk about these wicks. When you have multi-day ranges and then you wick out and then you come back, you got to be careful. AG, we'll show some examples here shortly if you're not familiar. Chopping around, again, 50-day. Newmont, check it out, right? Again, we talked about once you got over this 44, 45 range, not surprising. Again, this thing should be in the 70s. We talked about this. Could it get in the 50s? Again, if you're long this name, raise your stops. Be thoughtful. Be careful. Congrats. Pass. Multi-day range. Chopping around. Be careful. Ten cuidado. Okay? That's all I can say. Again, I mean, I like these names long run. If you disappear for a year from now, I have zero doubt they'll probably be higher. But I can't tell you what's going to happen between now and then because, again, if they follow traditional history, miners get absolutely clobbered when the market pulls back, volatility explodes, credit becomes tight. They usually have balance. They manage their balance sheets like absolute dog shit hockey. Taiwan Semi, multi-day range chopping earnings on Thursday. Not really much to say to that. Ten cuidado. Another one, be careful. Micron, watching the 50-day. Uh-oh. Again, today, all the chip names, we talked about it, posted this morning, all got big upgrades. Give it back. Again, that's telling you something. Now, again, AMD got a hold in this 7-8 point range. Could go higher. This one has been lagging. Again, NVIDIA, the boss, gets all these upgrades. Like last 4 days, I think they've gotten like 10 upgrades. No love watching the 20-day. Again, it could chop there for a while. SMCI, again, going to be added to S&P 500. Nice pop. Said, don't be surprised to get in this 900 plus 6, almost 1,000. Now, near term. Again, the next catalyst is going to be a 10-for-1 split. So just keep an eye on it. Again, I wouldn't be shorting this. I'd be looking for dips to buy, personally. Intellectual property. Again, we talked about this. Once it got over the 50-day, it was a nice rise. Trading up to this zone. Day trading, it looks pretty good. Or just waiting now. If you bought in at 34, again, there's so many trades here. Because, again, filling the gap, high and tight is good if it's going to chop to go higher. If not, you just raise your stop. Again, I think long term. Again, stock isn't cheap though, so just be careful. SMH, chopping around, holding 8-10 day. Be careful. Adobe, we talked about this one. Looking for a pop to reload or start the trade. I mean, it's somewhere in this 580. It's hard to get the one touch. Again, since you're not if you're not an all or nothing trading, you're a probability trader. One touch is usually mean you either wait for the retest or you didn't get any. Speaking of one touch, Apple. You're like, oh, I missed a short. Look at the action today. They get, again, we've known they're always going to do well in India. Gap's up today. Sold all day. I mean, this was your potentially novice trap. Novice. Again, we talk about gaps at extremes, right? That gap, I mean, again, I'm taking this can. I'm sorry. Like, that wasn't the top, clearly. So just watch it. Watch. This could be a novice gap trap, folks. And so if you did layer in today, it makes sense. Amazon. Talked about the 200 area. Again, not surprised. Everyone's buying because of Prime Day. Well, now it prices in after you go from 170 up to 200. Consolidation, watch the 20-day. I mean, look what happened. It got right back into this range, bounced. You got a reference, trade it. Meta, again, we talked about this being a bull trap. Now you got to break the 50 and 100-day if you want to get more bearish. CRM. Chopping, gaps down. Here's a gap at the high. Doji gets tired, waiting for retest if you want to short. Guggenheim, chopping around, again, holding up pretty well. Not really much to say there. Microsoft looked like it was about to dive off the cliff, holding the 20-day for now, chopping. We had the left-right combo identified. Congrats. If you don't know what that is, Google it, check it out, watch the videos. Lots of great content out there. NDAQ, again, I think this exchange is going to get absolutely throttled in time. Man, I really like the short up here. And again, you have to be patient with this. You could buy December 65 puts. They're pretty damn cheap, the VIX down here. And again, to find the risk. MicroStrategy, again, Bitcoin holding up. Said this morning it has to hold 1500. Did. Boom. You could have made 100 points just watching that trade. Said probably going to get up in the 1700s. Does it make sense now? Right? Netflix and chill, spill, whatever. Earnings coming up Thursday after the close. Be careful. I mean, again, I would just watch. Roblox, we talked about this one, holding up, getting into the range, gap down. And again, this is, we talked about like gaps, big volume, capitulation, rallying back. Man, I mean, if you clear this 41 area, you can see the VAP zone here. I mean, you could come back to the 47, 48. So again, congratulations if you're trading. I have no positions on it. PAN-W, as we said, holding high and tight, like this cybersecurity names. Hello, right? High and tight, 20-day catching up. I mean, this could be reloading. If it does, it means 362. Quick, painless, very easy. So, sorry, Tesla. I'm just like looking at this. Like, remember we talked about this? I mean, there's so many good trades on this. We took it, awesome. And now let's talk about where we're at. We said watch for the high. You got to retest to the 265s. Again, high and tight isn't bearish, but you don't, again, if you're shorting, you have great references, but you just got to be careful here. It's a big move. I would not be buying calls. Again, after a big IB move, now you've got a consolidation. And again, if you wanted to short, you have references. If you want to go along the stock, or I don't know, you need more dips. Don't play in between the ranges. Don't play between here and here. There's no trades unless you're day trading. Be careful. Inside, again, we talked about this again. I mean, how many people are going to hit me up and say, thanks for giving me the tip to buy this down here? Because again, when you thank me in like a year or two and it gets bought out, congrats again. I still like this company. And again, I mean, at dips, obviously. McDonald's, we talked about the McDonald's. Here you go. Here's a bear trap, right? That long wick. Looks below it. Pops back. Now chopping around. Not surprised here again. Speaking of bear trap, love this formation, right? Chop, chop, chop. Wick. Come back. Look at that. 3 days later, pop him. Now where do you get the trend line? 100-day. Keep an eye on. Again, I like the short on in time. Airbnb. Again, another trap, right? Gets over the range highs. Gives it all back to the 200-day. Again, watching the 200-day for support. Fails it. Uh-oh. Remember, we're going to a lot of earnings, a lot of names, so be careful. Here you go. Another bull trap at the highs. Trend is over, in my opinion. Consolidation, worst case scenario for this guy. Starbucks, we talked about this being a piece of crap. I mean, we've been kind of bearish on it. We talked about oversold. Here you go. Volume price analysis. Again, if you're new to this channel, you don't understand this stuff. Again, reach out. I'm telling you, there's so much good information here. Novice gap. Oversold rally. Hits the 50-day. Talked about it hitting the range lows, bouncing. Now, if you're bullish, that's not good. But if you also could be bullish with tight stops, you can also be bearish. This is where I love watching, like looking at levels, like 72, very binary, cut and dry. Federal Express, man, this one's holding up. Again, I kind of lost this one on the radar. I haven't been paying attention to it, but up against the range highs, if you shorted, you got stopped out. I mean, it's just that simple. Like a lot of the Dow names got some action today. Like Caterpillar, been staying waiting for this, okay? I mean, again, I don't want to step in front of this short right now. Nucor, again, has earnings tomorrow, right? Or next week, Short squeeze, talked about this on the weekend recap. X, again, not a big fan of buying this unless it's at the dips. 35 seems to be the floor. VALE, again, another name that we like long-term, seems to be stuck. Arrow, copper closed at the low of the day. Don't really know what to say here. Chopping around. Again, we like this stock long-term. I love mid-cap copper. CCJ, again, we like this name on dips. I just don't like Goldman upgrading at the highs because I know what they're doing. They're selling their shares to their clients. They'll upgrade at the high, get them to all buy it, then they'll let it pull back. And then when their clients are like, what do I do? They go, we'll take your stock, and then they'll upgrade it again. And they play that game over and over and over and over and over and endlessly, make money. And that's why, again, when you saw their earnings today, they did great, doing well, right? CF, again, ag names, we talked about them being oversold, right? Look at them, little oversold bounces coming on these names. Mosaic, right? Range lows. NTR, retesting a range low. Look at this, guys. Again, I'm not trying to sit here saying like buy this and go all in for the long run. But if you did, you have a stop. If you're patient, great. Eat worse, you're going to get an oversold bounce. Looks like, especially going into OPEX. Aaron, we like aluminum. Getting wide and loose, chopping around. Not really too much on it. XLF, Heartbreak Hotel. Stopped out today. I'm watching like the 10-minute at the close, and I'm just like, do you jump back in? Right? Do you jump back in? Right? Who's buying this? Okay. Again, can't fight it. Wrong is wrong. JP Morgan, again, I'm amazed people are buying the stock because if Diamond's not buying the stock back, why are you? But I mean, I was watching this today. I'm like, is this going to be a bull trap? Keep it on red alert. Morgan Stanley got earnings tomorrow morning. Keep an eye on it. Bank of America, earnings tomorrow morning. Keep an eye on it. Again, it seemed like a lot of squeezy action. Goldman, again, if you've got your Marcus account, you should not be worried about them going out of business so far. Looking pretty safe, right? Pretty safe. Keep an eye on it. Carry, we talked about this one now. This is where it gets interesting with IWM, right? Like really want to get into this. We talked about this, getting into this 53 range. Like once you held down here, and obviously the IWM broke out, the KREs, junior banks are a big part of it. Now you're into the next, like if you zoom out, next resistance zone, potentially all the way up to 56, right? Zoom out a little bit. And so at this point, man, like I don't want to be the first one. I don't want to step in. Just don't. XBI, we talked about this, having a nice trade if we got over this 93, 94 area. Booyakasha. Congrats again. Drop a comment below. I want to hear how people are doing. I love it. I freaking love it. XHB, we talked about this one squeezing, right? Oof. Now again, I don't know why I didn't save it, but look at this. You've got a really good reference. Ugh. You have a great reference to short against. Because again, housing's not strong. It is not strong. So be careful. Solar, as we talked about, solar does not get a benefit when Trump is winning. You have to recognize that. Nice little rally, oversold. Now it comes back. Big gap down. Again, this is going to be probably the best trading market. Is solar going to be like shorting pops, in my opinion, especially if Trump is winning. We talked about Sedge, speaking of, oversold bounce, due to bounce. Okay. ENPH, a lot of people are like, oh, near term, like, it's tough. Well, then Trump gets, whatever happens this weekend. Again, I don't really want to talk about it. You can talk about it personally if you want. Hit me up. Now it bounces. Now he's giving it back. First Solar said this morning, like, uh-oh. Again, here we go, corporate debt. This is what's hilarious. Like, who's buying corporate debt up here? Okay, you're back at the range highs. Worth a watch. Oil and gas. We've talked about oil and gas for a while. Oil a little overbought near term. UNG. I hate the UNG. It's a terrible product. The product is to short it or short the KOLD. And look at today's volume on the KOLD. Or sorry, on the boil. Oops. I'm sorry, I meant KOLD. Check this out, right? I like this. We've talked about you could start shorting this, in my opinion. Give yourself time. XOP, we talked about Trump is winning. Oil and gas rising. Look at that. Okay. Range lows held. CVE, again, we talked about this holding in this area. Looking good. Blair, we talked about the gasoline names. A little oversold near term. Holding the 200-day. MPC went below the 200-day. Not surprised. Guess what? Bounces back to the 200-day. Again, these things have gotten kind of burned. ExxonMobil, again, chopping around, holding up. It's hard to short these names. I personally wouldn't, but I would be watching them. Again, as a reference, Occidental, trading between the range. EQT, again, I like this name long-term, but they're big, choppy, sloppy consolidation patterns after big moves. This makes sense. Hopefully you can see that. Again, waiting for 28, 29 level. Last but not least, because again, I think we'll be natural gas exporters, on record saying this about every day. I like these names, but let them play out. Congress is buying them. Congratulations again. If you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. Again, I talked about this is more of a trader's market. So getting heavily invested, be careful. If you're long tech, be careful. If you're buying IWM and stuff like that for the long term, be careful. I think it's more of a trader's market. So if you have any questions, please reach out. Always here to help. Leave a comment below. Again, heart, like, share. That means the world to me. It really does, because I'm trying to do this for the masses. And when I say the masses, just people who are interested in following. Again, one day maybe there'll be something different. But at this point, like I said, just trying to help people learn, get educated, and be better traders. All right, have a great evening. Talk to you later. Hit me up if you got any real estate questions.